Hey everybody, welcome to Uphill Both Ways with Minus and Mr. NathanNAPALM. We've made it to 4 episodes. That's pretty impressive for us. I wasn't sure if we'd make it past 2. So today, everybody, we're actually going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. Super pumped for this one, Nathan. We've talked a little bit about being Genesis fans versus being Super Nintendo fans. So I think both of us were Genesis fans, right?
Yeah. It took me a while to get on the Super Nintendo bandwagon. I was super sure that the Genesis was more powerful in every single way.
No pun intended. So yeah, this was a big win for us as a Genesis fanboys, I guess you'd say back then, before people got mad about that kind of stuff. But what's kind of cool about this game is I have a lot to kind of talk about, some cool insider facts for anybody watching who maybe doesn't know some of these things about Sonic. So you want to jump right into this one? Get ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so first and foremost, I want to give a little history of Sonic. I think it's incredible. I'm not going to say I've known this for a long time. I looked up some stuff and took a couple notes, and it's really neat. It's a really cool background story. So I'm just going to go over a couple quick points in case people didn't know it. Feel free to interrupt me, Nathan, if you have anything you want to add to it, or if you knew any more about it, or you just want to comment on it. So first and foremost, Sonic was ordered to be created in 1990, and which was funny because they wanted a mascot. Right? And they had a mascot. I don't know if you knew this, but the original mascot, you know who it was?
Alex the Kid?
Yep, Alex Kidd.
Yep.
So the problem is that they felt that it was a little too similar to Mario. They wanted something really different, something that would stand out. So they basically got this guy and said, listen, we need something new. And what's really interesting is the quote that was given to the designer for this was the most impossible task ever, right? The guy says, we need an iconic character on the level of Mickey Mouse. So it's...
Jeez!
Yeah, no pressure, right? I mean, by 1990, wow. Mickey Mouse was already how old? I mean, that's insane. That's such a high standard. We need a character as iconic as Mickey Mouse.
You know what? I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because I just realized that for our show, we need a intro as good and as well known as epic as the Star Wars intro.
Okay.
And then we're good, So if it was that easy for them, it should be that easy for
that's
us.
it. So what's interesting is, aside from telling them that they had to create a character that was iconic as Mickey Mouse, all of Genesis's hype, like their hype reels and their excitement about their console, really focused on speed. And this is before Sonic was even thought up. It was the 16-bit fast processing. Everything was just faster and better and quicker, right? So that was one of the key things that in creating Sonic, they wanted to bring the Genesis marketing into a character. So speed was one of the first things they thought about. And they started leaning towards animals really quickly. So what they did is they originally actually had a rabbit, which I didn't know until today. So they had a rabbit, and the whole concept was that it was going to use its ears to pick things up. But in the 16-bit era, that was a lot more difficult than they had guessed.
Right.
For a creative character, it was a little too hard to program, so they backed away. So the interesting part is, one of the big things about Sonic was turning into a ball. Right? So turning into a ball, they actually had that concept before they locked down a character or an animal. They just said, whatever we pick should turn into a ball. Which is kind of like... The thought process of creating Sonic is so out of left field and so wacky, right? It's got to be like
very Sega. Feels very Sega.
It's got to be like Mickey Mouse. It needs to be really fast, and it needs to turn into a ball.
So like, what creatures can we come up with? I'm surprised they didn't go with the snake.
Something.
Just bites his own tail and rolls around.
Right. So the two characters they came up with, the two animals, were Sonic, and which was a hedgehog, right? Actually, it wasn't even called Sonic, just a hedgehog. And then they had an armadillo. Those were the two that they started with. So they went from having those two, and believe it or not, we all know that this, no surprise, spoiler alert, they picked the hedgehog, right? So it's what's funny is the armadillo actually became a character. So in a lesser played one, they had the game Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. It was like a spin-off Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. And Mighty the Armadillo was that character. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
So the when they came up with Sonic, before he was even called Sonic, the art director said, well, what I did was took Felix the cat's head and I put it on Mickey Mouse's body. So like that was the start of designing Sonic. So when they said make a kid, and it's funny because like look at it, right? If you look at him, you're like, huh, that's kind of interesting. So a couple more little things and then we'll jump into the actual game here. But so after that, first of all, he was originally colored teal, sort of like my shirt or my hat, right? So he was originally colored teal, but against the backgrounds, he didn't stand out as much. So they're like, well, let's make him darker blue. And they made him darker blue. And then they also said that was a good decision because it matched the Sega logo. Right. And like, you know, the whole Sega to begin with, this game's phenomenal. So the last couple tidbits here that I think are pretty funny is his shoes. So he has the red shoes with the big buckle. Do you have any idea where that came from? Because it's really cool.
I have no idea.
So the art director took it from Michael Jackson's boots on the cover of Bad. So as you're looking that up, you have a character created to be as iconic as Mickey Mouse, who essentially stole Mickey Mouse's body in a sense. We took Felix the cat's head. It needed to be fast, turned into a ball, and we're going to use Michael Jackson's boots, right, as inspiration.
Oh, okay. Right? I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Crazy, right? So the last little piece here that I think is pretty fun is his original name. Do you know that?
No.
Mr. Needle Mouse.
Mr. Needle Mouse?
So the original name for Sonic was Mr. Needle Mouse.
Did they feel like they had to put mouse in the name because of the Mickey Mouse expectations?
You know what? That's probably a good point. They went really far with the Mickey Mouse expectations, like really, really far. So yes, it's very possible that's the reason. So obviously the name was changed to Sonic, and that was again to play on the speed mechanic. And the biggest thing is the developer's first idea when they gave him this is that he was a huge Mario fan. But he always wanted the gameplay to be faster. So it's just funny because, you know, you think of different things in life today that companies glob onto and they can't get rid of. Sega Genesis was faster. And it's so funny that, of course, you know, Sonic's the mascot. Fits that perfectly. So
blast processing, man.
Right.
Processing.
So just a little bit of background info there. I did a little homework today, but I thought that was pretty fun, right? Little fun tidbits about Sonic the Hedgehog.
I was at a friend's house. He had a Sega Genesis. That meant nothing to me at the time. He put it in, and I had been around the 8-bit Sega. What was it called? The
Master System.
The Master System. I've been around it, so when he said he had a Sega Genesis, I thought we were going to see the Master System. So he puts in Sonic, and I was like, wow, what is this? The colors were popping, the speed, of course, the loop-de-loops, and the water levels. All that just really sticks out my first night playing Sonic, and I still wasn't sold on the Sega Genesis, but I was sold on Sonic as a character for sure.
So looking at the original Sonic, you know, we had the speed. It was so different than Mario. There's really nothing like Mario. You didn't have power-ups. You just collected essentially one coin gave you health. And the benefit of collecting a bunch of coins was you had more to collect if you got hit. So you were immortal if you could just keep a couple coins, which was very interesting, unless you fell in a hole.
True.
If you fell in a hole, or you drowned, or you got smashed, coins couldn't save you. Yeah.
And there would be, you would get really good at you got hit and making sure you got at least one coin back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would be rotating that one coin through an entire boss map.
Because you couldn't let it fall off the screen. You kept yourself in the middle. So that you The Mario games had 8. The first game had 8 worlds, right? And you had 4 missions or acts in each one, right? So Sonic comes out and it has 6 levels with roughly 3 acts in each. right? And then you had like a final mission, final zone that was just a singular zone. Do you remember anything specific about those zones that kind of stood out to you, or like what's the levels that you just like still remember?
The Green Hill Zone always is my favorite. Every Sonic game, the new ones, whatever, the Green Hill Zone is where Sonic lives to me. So that's my favorite. It always will be. I love the whole aesthetic that they did, the way they used the stripes and the little pinwheel things in the background. I think that's the best designed,
very
graphically
very
speaking.
Colorful. I mean, it really, like you said, when you boot up Sonic, you felt that it looks like a cartoon, and that level is just beautifully done.
Very beautiful. Yeah, and it makes the case to me that it was ahead of its time, graphically speaking. There was no other game on the Genesis that was even comparable to what Sega did with Sonic the Hedgehog. It looked amazing.
I'll run through the 6 maps here. So you have the green zone, you have the marble zone. That was the one with like the lava, the marble zone. You had the spring yard zone, labyrinth zone, starlight zone.
Oh, I like that one too.
And then you had scrap brain zone that would become final zone. That was like the last, like the Robotnik's area. In this game, you fought Robotnik every time, and he had a different way to fight you. In the green zone, he had the disco ball. I know it's a wrecking ball, but he had a disco ball on a chain. And he's in his egg, right? Which you kind of call his egg carrier. So he was swinging that. That's the first one. That was pretty easy. Just jump and hit him. And then it got a little bit harder. You had the lava in the middle, and he would drop fire on one side of the platform. You'd have to jump to the other and hit him, but not fall in lava.
A good boss fight.
It was a good boss fight, right? It was a good boss fight, and it also was a little reminiscent of a Mario boss fight, right? The fire and a little bit there. I wonder if they thought about that, or if that was homage to it, because he was a fan.
Right.
Spring Yard Zone was he had the spike, and he would like break the blocks. Yeah. So it wasn't just beat him by hitting him enough. You were basically on a time limit because you weren't gonna have any ground to stand on. The Labyrinth Zone was you actually were chasing him. The water was filling up, which I completely forgot about this.
Oh, wow. That was a good one.
Yeah, so there were like fire things getting shot, and then there was like there were spikes coming out, and you had to like go up and hit them as you were going up, but if you were too slow, you would drown. And then when you got to the top, by the time you got up there, you kind of just hit him once and he runs away. Yeah. So it was an interesting, like a chase fight.
You had to survive.
Yeah, and that was pretty interesting.
That is good, yeah.
And then the Starlight Zone was probably the hardest fight. It was the one with you had 3 teeter-totters on the ground, like seesaws, and he would drop the bombs.
Oh, yeah.
So you had to do 2 things. You had to jump on one side of it, and you could throw the bomb up at him. Or if you missed them and ran to the other side real quick before it landed, it would prop you up.
Yeah.
So you could either shoot yourself at him and hit him, or you could hit him with bombs. But if you didn't hit the bombs up at him in time, they would explode, and like you'd have like little fireballs come off of it that you had to avoid. That was the hardest fight.
Good fight. That was hard. Yeah.
By far. And then the last one, honestly, what's really funny about this, and I thought of you when I was looking at this fight. The last one, he's in those like sledgehammer things that just go up and down, and he's in one and he's not in the other, and you have to like jump at the side of it to hit him.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then you had like the static balls that would kind of sort of home on you. You had to get in between them and then run back so you didn't get smashed. And what was really interesting, and what I when I saw that fight is, you fight him forever, and it's probably the easiest end fight I've seen in any game like this, to be honest, because you can just stay on the side and you just wait. You just wait it out. But what's interesting is you hit him a few times and he flies away in his egg machine. And I thought of you when I saw that, because remember how you always said Mario never actually beat Bowser. Right. Bowser either beat himself or got away. And it's interesting because that's how the game ended, with Eggman not being beaten, but Sonic chasing him away from the land and Sonic freeing all the little guys, and that was it. That was the end. So
yeah, and that was kind of, at least back then, the point of Sonic was he didn't want to kill Robotnik, or that's what we called him back then. That was his American name, Robotnik.
Oh yeah, Robotnik. That's what I called
Eggman came later for us. But yeah, Robotnik, it wasn't to kill him, it was to stop his plan and chase him away. Like, that was the point. Like, haha, you've been outsmarted, go away. Like,
Yep.
That was the point. That's what you were trying to do.
Sonic will always hold a very important part in my heart. I just absolutely, I don't know, I loved the game. I loved everything about it. It was such a, I would say that I was a huge NES fan, huge, and I had tons of games. But like, there's a time when you grow up a little bit and gaming grows with you, and it grew up with me with Genesis. Like,
Yeah.
it became, at the start of Nintendo, I needed some help. Towards the end of Nintendo, I didn't. But it was the first console that, like, I was old enough to just play it on my own and experience it on my own and save up money to buy my own games at that point. So there was a part of me that was just really important, and that's why it was such a big console. I mean, maybe it wasn't better than the Super Nintendo, but to me it was.
Yeah. And it like you said, it brought a bit of maturity to the console market that Nintendo would not have ever done had it not been for players like Sega pushing it and forcing their hand, basically. And Sonic was, at that time, much cooler than Mario.
Yeah.
At that time, Sonic was a much cooler mascot. He was the fun guy. Mario was still fun, but Sonic was the cool uncle.
Mario was essentially a one-button game for me because I just held the run button the whole time. Sega came along and they're like, hey, we'll just hold that button for you.
No reason for you to have to. We want your whole finger on the jump button.
Yeah, you're going to have one button to press at the right time and you're good.
Yeah, the run button is on us.
Yeah, awesome.
But you know what? I wonder, it's probably not true, but I wonder if you don't like to hold the run button in Mario because you want to go fast. Just like the developer who made Sonic wanted Mario to go faster.
That's interesting. I wonder if, more people who transitioned and like Sonic held the run button when they played Mario, and the people who aren't as big a fan if they didn't. There's no way to figure that out, but that would be an amazing thing. In our comments here, guys, if you played Mario and you liked Sonic, did you always hold the run button? Is there any correlation? Let us know. If you don't like it, did you not hold it? I'm just curious. We might get a couple people. Yeah, guys, just so you know, we've adjusted this for more editing time because these videos that you see, they're a lot longer than the content you see. You kind of notice that when you look at the videos, and there's two. So to give us a little bit more editing time and also be able to prep for these videos, we're going to do a release every other week. I think it's just a better format for us to not rush it. We want our videos to be different. We want there to be some editing done. So every other Monday, you'll see an uphill both ways episode as we continue to talk about retro games and games that even not so retro games that just we really like. So
yeah,
awesome, Nathan. So thank you again for another awesome discussion, and I'll see you next time. And let us know in the comments what you think. And again, as Nathan has said a few times, let us know what games you want us to cover. If we've played them, we will.